final chapter of Civil War has arrived. Heroes against heroes, freedom versus order. An epic conclusion that will forever change the Marvel Universe. Smash that explosive like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for all notifications, so you'll never miss a single video, and share with your fellow nerds. Get ready. The fate of the heroes will be decided now. Civil War number 7. Now! The negative zone becomes a battlefield of no return. On one side, heroes exhausted, scarred by war. On the other, enforcers of law, hardened by imposed order. Suddenly, a cry erupts like thunder, shaking walls and hearts alike. Captain America, Avengers assemble! Captain America raises his shield with fury and hope, calling everyone to the final fight. Iron Man stands firm, relentless. Spider-Man dives into battle, agile and fierce. Human Torch's flames tear across the skies, igniting the darkness. And even the recruited villains hurl themselves into the chaos of war. The fate of the Marvel Universe will be decided here. The ultimate showdown begins now. The battlefield in the negative zone erupts into absolute chaos. Bishop unleashes a devastating blast of energy against Vision, hurling him violently across the field. Bishop, what's he talking about? I thought our side was the Avengers. The chaos intensifies as living lightning delivers a thunderous punch to Hulkling. But Captain America, relentless, surges in like a storm. He strikes Bishop down with brutal force, and then stomps his head with merciless strength, proving there is no room for hesitation in this war. Across the battlefield, Iron Man fires a devastating energy pulse at Falcon, who is held tight at the waist by Luke Cage. The impact of the blast is so overwhelming that another fighter is thrown into the air, consumed by the wave of destruction. Amid the clash, Taskmaster reveals his lethal precision. A swift kick takes down one opponent, while the hilt of his sword crushes another without mercy. Every movement is calculated, fast, and deadly. At the heart of the operation, government agents race against time. Agent, it's done. The portal back to the Raft prison is live. In 5 seconds, the clock of war never stops. Every blow, every explosion, brings the heroes closer to their fate. Chaos overwhelms the negative zone. Government agents pound the keys in desperation. Every second is a risk. Suddenly, a blinding light cuts through the room like a spark of hope. Both agents are thrown back, crashing to the ground as the energy engulfs the chamber. Dagger looks at Black Panther, fear in her eyes. Dagger, is it already too late? Black Panther answers with unshakable resolve. Black Panther, Riker was the official passage to the negative zone. But there is another way out. If I can recall that 69-digit code, we still have a chance. On the battlefield, the clash turns savage. Iron Man delivers a devastating punch to Luke Cage's face, sending the unbreakable man reeling backward. Then Spider-Man swings into the fray, his agility and sarcasm intact even in the heart of war. Spider-Man, I'm sick of this, and I brought my can opener, Tin Man. Tony Stark's eyes flare with fury. Iron Man, Spider-Man, before Peter can advance. He's ambushed. Venom crashes down on him with monstrous rage, while Lady Deathstrike's adamantium claws slash through the air toward him. Venom leans close, his voice dripping with cruelty. Venom, as long as you remembered the bandages. Spider, darkness closes in. The war devours everything. The government's command center shakes with alarm. Agent, Black Panther is overriding our system. Commander Hill, he's rerouting their bridge to the Baxter building. Maria Hill, shut it down now. If they escape, it's your head. Blonsky, on the other side, the urgency intensifies. Dagger, they've tracked us. Reed's portal is closing. 10 seconds and counting. Black Panther, Cloak, it's me. We need the biggest teleport of your life. Chala is sending the coordinates. The battlefield erupts in chaos. Ms. Marvel delivers a crushing punch to Spider-Woman. Living lightning unleashes a searing blast of energy, blocked by Captain America's shield. Standing as a wall amidst destruction, Cloak hesitates. Cloak? I can't. It's too dangerous. There are hundreds of people here. Captain America, either you do it, or we're stuck here forever. Tyrone, do it. Close on Tyrone's face. Shadow engulfing everything. Cloak, I will try. Darkness begins to swallow the field. The Human Torch raises his flaming fist. Alarmed, Human Torch. What the hell? Iron Man, my God. Don't tell me that's Cloak. The war intensifies. The portal opens. The risk is absolute. The fate of all is about to change. The battlefield is swallowed by the suffocating darkness of the Cloak. The black veil covers everything, turning heroes and villains into shadows, locked in a desperate struggle within the abyss. At the heart of the chaos, Spider-Man, fueled by fury and adrenaline, unleashes a brutal punch against Mr. Fantastic. The blow twists Reed Richards' face, his elastic body contorting violently under the force of the strike. Beside them, She-Hulk charges with unstoppable might, colliding with Sue Storm in a devastating clash. Muscle against invisible force, and the Invisible Woman is hurled back into the void. Flames, thunder, and strikes echo from every corner. But Cloak's darkness is more than just a portal. It is a battlefield within the shadow itself. Every hero fights as if standing on the edge of the end, each punch and each cry resonating in the void. Here, within the abyss, civil war reaches its rawest form. Brothers against brothers, friends against friends, an entire world torn apart in a single instant. From Cloak's shroud, the sky above New York tears open in despair. Silhouettes of heroes and villains plummet like living meteors, hurled from the negative zone straight into the heart of the city. Captain America, raising his shield amidst the chaos, his voice cutting through the air like thunder. Captain America, all flyers, grab a friend. Now, Ms. Marvel, blazing like a comet, dives through the sky and seizes an ally mid-fall. Spider-Woman fires her webs, desperate to catch another before they crash into the streets below. But not all are so fortunate. The unlucky ones plummet through the skyline, smashing into taxis and cars of Manhattan. Explosions ignite the streets. The impact is brutal. Vehicles burst into flames. Debris scatters like shrapnel, and the ground shakes under the fury of the collision. Civilians scream, fleeing in terror. Once again, New York becomes a living battlefield, paying the price for the war of superhumans. The battlefield spreads across the streets of New York. Explosions, rubble, heroes and villains clashing at every angle. Wonder Man, with uncontained fury, unleashes a brutal punch against the Cloak, hurling him violently. Wonder Man, that's for ruining the plan. Worm, Iron Man assumes command, his voice echoing firmly through the chaos. Iron Man, this is Iron Man to all units. Evacuate the area and contain the fight in Midtown. I don't want civilian casualties. None. The Human Torch dives in flames, streaking like a blazing comet. Iron Man intercepts, countering with precision. Iron Man, you think I'm stupid, kid? The impact sends the torch crashing into burning debris. On the streets below, police officers struggle to control the terrified crowd. Police, this way. Stay calm. Follow our instructions and no one gets hurt. Above, the aerial chaos intensifies. A bluish flash strikes Wonder Man, sending him flying backward. Nearby, the Vision fires an energy beam at Nighthawk. He dodges by instinct, and the blast detonates against a nearby building, ripping concrete and steel apart in a colossal explosion. Spider-Man, agile as ever, leaps between the crumbling skyscrapers, dodging attacks falling like missiles, moving as if dancing through the destruction. The sky of New York trembles. Every hero, every villain, every civilian, all trapped in the eye of the Civil War storm. In the heart of the battlefield, Spider-Man becomes pure speed and precision. He strikes like a thunderbolt, taking down opponents one after another without mercy. First, Bishop is smashed by a devastating blow. Then, the giant Atlas is struck with brutal force, forced back by the spider's fury. Next, the green lightning of living lightning is silenced by a precise kick, sending him crashing into the rubble. And finally, the gray gargoyle falls, overwhelmed by Spider-Man's relentless assault. Spider-Man twists in the air and lands before Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards, stunned by the display, whispers in awe, "Mr. Fantastic, amazing," but the answer comes fast and brutal. Spider-Man delivers a crushing strike that shatters the glass around them. Spider-Man, spectacular. The war gives no pause. Iron Man unleashes a colossal energy blast, the explosion hurling Patriot through the air, consumed by flames and smoke. Iron Man, where's Cap? Somebody find Captain America. He's too dangerous to be left out there unchecked. At his side, Wonder Man, consumed by rage, charges forward like an unstoppable force, ready to tear everything apart. The chaos grows. The streets burn. Steel and fire collide, and every strike, every blast, roars like the inevitable voice of destiny. The battlefield plunges into brutality, as Captain America finds himself cornered by the predators of war. From the shadows, Lady Deathstrike emerges, her adamantium claws slashing through the air like the very blades of death. With a vicious strike, she pierces the captain's side, steel tearing into his flesh. Lady Deathstrike doesn't seem so dangerous to me. Before the captain can recover, the monstrous figure of Venom charges. His grotesque mouth stretches into a toothy grin, his tongue writhing, and with a brutal punch he hurls Cap into the rubble. Venom, not to me either. Staggered, the captain is seized by Venom, held tight like prey in the jaws of a predator. In that instant, the killers move in. The mercenary delivers a devastating kick, while the Taskmaster strikes with ruthless precision, punishing the Sentinel of Liberty without mercy. The captain does not fall. He is held upright, brutalized in front of the world. Lady Deathstrike, merciless, steps closer and seizes the captain's bloodied face. Seeking to humiliate him, Lady Deathstrike, "What's so funny? Captain, do you enjoy the mercenary's little jokes? Do you share his sense of humor?" But the captain raises his gaze, defiance blazing in his eyes. "Captain America, no, I was just thinking about my friend up there, finishing you all and sending each one of you straight into next week." At that moment, the scene freezes in tension. Venom, Lady Deathstrike, and Taskmaster keep the captain restrained, while the mercenary prepares to strike again. Lady Deathstrike, "What?" From the skies comes the roar of hope. The air trembles with the arrival of reinforcements. An army of Captain America's allies descends, flying like an unstoppable storm crashing from the horizon, plunging into the battlefield, breaking the siege, and bringing with them the promise of salvation. The silence shatters. The world holds its breath. Resistance has just awakened in full force. From the skies, hope descends in flesh and blood. An ancestral roar tears through the air like thunder, echoing from the depths of the ocean to the very heart of the battlefield. Namor, the Submariner, bursts forth at the head of a legion of Atlantean warriors, their spears gleaming like lightning, ready to shatter the night of war. Namor, Imperius Rex. His cry is not merely a command. It is a sentence. The fury of submerged kingdoms, the promise of vengeance, the arrival of reinforcements that turn darkness into a blinding blaze of hope. The impact is immediate. The Atlanteans descend like a living storm, crushing enemies without mercy. Venom, who only moments ago had the captain in his brutal grasp, is hurled to the ground under the relentless power of Atlantean blades and strikes. The captain raises his eyes. In the reflections of chaos, he witnesses prophecy fulfilled. The skies, the sea, and the resistance now fight as one. The war's tide has turned. The battlefield holds its breath, As the unthinkable unfolds. She-Hulk. It's Namor. We're dead. With him on Cap's side, they're going to crush us without mercy. Iron Man. Easy. She-Hulk. We're ready. You think we've been sitting idle these past months? From above, the sky splits in fury. Ragnarok, the clone of Thor, descends, wielding his hammer amidst a storm of lightning, as if thunder itself had taken shape. Ragnarok, suffer, vile traitors. At his right side, a cosmic warrior surges forward in blazing energy. It is Captain Marvel. Marvel, fists clenched, the star on his chest burning like a sun of war. Behind him, a colossus of muscle and rage. Doc Samson, in his green uniform, charges into battle with the force of a living hurricane. To Ragnarok's left, bow drawn and steady, stands the relentless archer, Red Hawk, unleashing her arrow with deadly precision. Red Hawk, what he said, and they are not alone. Among the vanguard, other warriors storm forward, each carrying their own fire, energy spears, gleaming armor, eyes blazing with fury. It is a tempest of heroes descending from the skies, ready to turn the tide of war. Thunder, steel, and arrows rain upon the battlefield, like an unstoppable avalanche. The clash that follows promises to shake the Civil War to its very core. New York becomes the stage of cataclysm. The roar of war shakes the streets, as the people of Atlantis, led by Namor, crash into battle against the government's heroes. Tridents and ocean-forged blades clash with shields and powers, turning the city into an apocalyptic battlefield. At the heart of destruction, two giants meet once more. Iron Man and Captain America stand face to face again in the chaos, the memory of their last duel burning like fire, still alive between them. Iron Man, you and me again. Cap, just like last time. Let's hope I don't have to put you through all that pain again. Huh? Around them, lying on the ground, are Bullseye and Taskmaster, momentarily defeated. While the storm of war rages on, Captain America, unshaken, raises his shield against his former ally. Captain America, well, things are a little different this time. Tony, Vision. Suddenly, Vision emerges from the chaos. His hand phases through Iron Man's armor as if it were nothing, and reality erupts in blinding light. Blue arcs of energy ripple across Stark's suit, illuminating New York with bolts of raw destruction. Iron Man's scream of agony tears through the battlefield, echoing like thunder across the ruins. Vision, cold and relentless, turns to Captain America. Vision, Iron Man's armor is compromised. Captain, the ground trembles. The air shatters with sparks and fury, and in that moment, the fate of the war shows signs of shifting forever. The streets of New York tremble. Under the weight of war, Captain America, consumed by unyielding fury, charges at his former ally, with his shield strapped to his arm. He unleashes a devastating blow, smashing the face of Iron Man with relentless force. The metallic crack echoes like thunder. Tony Stark's armor, already disabled and weakened by Vision's assault, fails to respond. And for the first time, the billionaire genius stands vulnerable, stunned before the wrath of the captain. Then, a roar splits the heavens. Thor, Iron Man. But from the heart of battle, the Olympian champion rises. Hercules, in his titanic glory, swings his divine fist with godlike fury and smashes it against the face of the cyborg Thor, striking him down with colossal power. Hercules, thou shouldst fear for thyself. Monster, the impact is cataclysmic. The metallic god falls like a collapsing giant, shaking the battlefield with his crash, and the chaos deepens. A bus is hurled through the air, erupting into fiery debris and scattering destruction. The blast throws Atlanteans and other heroes violently aside, their bodies flung like rag dolls into the storm of war. Amid the devastation, the Invisible Woman gazes in horror, her voice trembling. Invisible Woman, in God's name, what is this? And thus, the war escalates into an even more savage and apocalyptic dimension. In the blazing heart of New York, the unexpected happens. From the shadows and wreckage of war, a colossal figure emerges. The Thing. His rocky skin bursts forth from shattered debris and crushed tires, his very presence a living wall of hope. Susan Storm, shocked and trembling, cries out, "Susan!" Ben! The stone giant roars with his unmistakable fury, his voice thundering across the battlefield. "The Thing? You really think I was gonna sit this one out eating croissants? Get it together. Susie, we got people to protect." His arrival shakes the battlefield, rekindling the fire of resistance. But war shows no mercy. From the darkness, the relentless taskmaster steps forward, cold as death itself. His predatory gaze locks on the invisible woman, his aim steady, sight fixed on Susan's heart. Time seems to slow, the tension slicing the air like an invisible blade. Taskmaster raises his weapon, a twisted grin spreading across his face, and pulls the trigger. "Taskmaster, sorry, not in my job description." The warning erupts. Reed Richards, seeing the danger, shouts in desperation, "Reed, Susan, look out!" The shot tears through the chaos. A flash, a brutal impact. Reed Richards is struck, his body hurled to the ground, a cry of pain escaping his lips. Susan Storm, "Reed!" She rushes to her fallen husband, her face etched with horror and blazing fury. Kneeling beside him, her grief turns into fire. "Susan, what have you done to my husband?" And beside her, the Thing tightens his massive fists, rage building like a volcano ready to erupt. The Thing, Amen. The battlefield falls silent for a heartbeat, as if the world itself braces to witness the wrath of a desperate wife and an enraged titan of stone. The battlefield falls silent for an instant. Susan Storm, consumed by fury and grief, turns her gaze like an invisible blade, her face carved in vengeance. Now she is no longer just the invisible woman. She is the goddess of war, ready to annihilate any foe who dares approach. On the other side, Taskmaster, feeling the crushing weight of her wrath, widens his eyes in terror. His lips tremble, and in a low voice he mutters, "Taskmaster, okay, this isn't good." The ground erupts in a deafening explosion. With a violent impact, Taskmaster's body is hurled and smashed against the earth, leaving a deep crater. He lies there, broken and defeated, crushed beneath the fury of the invisible woman, unable to rise again. But at the heart of the destruction, the clash of titans continues. Hercules, still burning with the fire of the previous strike, now holds in his mighty hands the hammer once belonging to the god of thunder. His eyes blaze with rage, his voice thunderous with memory and pain. "Hercules, how dare you wear the flesh of Odin's son? I knew Thor. Thor was a friend of mine, with muscles coiled like pillars of Olympus." The demigod raises the hammer high above his head, ready to deliver judgment upon the false god. "Hercules, and you know something, imposter." The divine weapon gleams, reflecting the fury of heaven itself, as the final blow gathers to fall, with the weight of 1,000 storms. The battlefield is swallowed by a thunder of pure fury. Hercules, consumed by divine wrath, raises the hammer bathed in lightning, and with a roar that tears through the heavens, he delivers the final sentence upon the abomination that dared to wear the name of the god of thunder. "Hercules, thou art no Thor." The strike falls, like the justice of the gods. The false cyborg Thor has his face shattered beneath Olympian fury. His circuits and wires burst apart, in showers of sparks and burning energy. The illusion of godhood is destroyed, revealing nothing more than a grotesque machine, soulless, reduced to scrap under the relentless power of the son of Zeus. Lightning dances around the scene, illuminating the horror. Hercules' roar echoes like a war thunder, leaving no doubt. No impostor can bear the weight of the gods. The silence that follows, is broken only by the crackling of sparks, and the metallic collapse of the cyborgs remains. In that instant, there is no doubt, the fraud has been annihilated, and Thor's honor avenged. Iron Man's armor still crackles. Sabotaged by Vision, the battlefield becomes an arena for reckoning. Captain America, consumed by fury, raises his shield with unyielding force. The metal gleams against the flames, and in a devastating strike, he slams it down onto Tony Stark's helmet. The impact makes the ground quake, fractures spreading like scars across the ruined city. The shield falls again. Another sharp, brutal blow, crushing the already weakened iron. The faceplate of Iron Man shatters, and through the fragments emerges Tony's exposed face. Scarred and vulnerable, the captain lifts his fist for the final strike. His gaze burns. Silence thickens. Justice or vengeance? Iron Man, what are you waiting for? Steve, finish it. The city holds its breath. One single strike could decide not only the battle, but who they will choose to become. Steve's fist freezes in midair. The strike that could decide it all never falls. From the chaos, the true anonymous heroes of the city emerge. Firefighters, paramedics, civilians covered in dust. They throw themselves at Captain America, dragging him away from Tony's shattered armor. Civilians, get away from him. Hold him down. Hold him down. Daredevil turns his face. Stunned by the sight, the Human Torch blazes at his side, and Hulkling watches tensely. Daredevil, what, in God's name? Spider-Man rolls across the rubble. Exhausted, in the background, Steve's silhouette is swallowed by the crowd, pinning him to the ground. Captain America, struggling more with his conscience than with the hands holding him. Captain America, let me go. Please, I don't want to hurt you. Civilians don't want to hurt us. Are you kidding? Civilians, it's a little late for that, man. And amidst the smoke and sirens, the symbol lifts his eyes and sees, reflected in them, the very people he swore to protect. The battlefield changes tone. The war, for a moment, falls silent. The city breathes smoke. From above, New York looks like an open wound. Streets torn apart. Buildings ablaze. Sirens drowned in the distant roar of war. Where once there was glory, now there is only ruin. On the ground, the heroes hesitate. Falcon lands, wings still trembling, looking at his friend, not as a soldier, but as a man. Captain America, my God. Falcon, what is it? Steve, the shield falls into the dust, heavy as a verdict. The symbol that once rallied armies now lies abandoned on the ground. Clothes on the captain. Soot marks his face. But it is the truth that cuts deeper. His eyes glisten with pain. Silent tears fall down his scarred cheeks. He looks around. Wounded civilians. Fear in their eyes. The city itself begging for an end. Captain America, they're right. We're not fighting for the people anymore. Falcon, Captain America, see what we've become. We're just fighting. And with that truth, the thunder of battle seems distant. For the first time, at the heart of the Civil War, the captain chooses to listen. The ruins of New York still smolder. The ash-laden sky mirrors the weight of a battle that has left no victors, only survivors. Among rubble and weary faces, Steve Rogers rises before his allies. No longer the invincible soldier, but a man bearing the crushing weight of war and truth. Human Torch. Voice tense. Human Torch. Cap, what are you doing? If you surrender, they'll throw us in jail. Spider-Man, exhausted, his suit torn. Spider-Man, but we were beating them, man. We were winning back there. Silence falls. The camera closes in on the captain's weary eyes, blue and glistening, reflecting both fire and sorrow. Captain America, firm, yet heavy with grief. Captain America, we won everything, except the argument. Around him, Daredevil, Luke Cage, She-Hulk, Falcon, Ms. Marvel. The heroes stare, realizing at last that the war had gone too far. Steve raises a hand to his face, pulling off the mask that defined him for decades. The symbol falls with the shield, and the man speaks. No longer the icon, Steve Rogers. They're not arresting Captain America. He opens his hands, bloodied and calloused, showing the world his choice. Steve Rogers. They're arresting Steve Rogers. And that is something very different. Police approach with cuffs. The silence of the heroes shatters with a desperate plea. Falcon cries out, "Cap, please," already in chains. Steve speaks with the dignity of a leader scarred in body and soul. Steve Rogers. Stand down, troops. The battlefield, once drowned in the roar of war, falls into silence. Captain America is gone. But Steve Rogers remains. The smoke still rises from New York's wounded streets. The twilight paints the war in shades of red and gray. In the heart of the shattered city, Steve Rogers walks in handcuffs, head bowed, flanked by 2 officers. His star-spangled uniform is torn, his chest scales caked in dust and dried blood. Behind him, the silent cortege of those who fought at his side. Spider-Man in solemn silence, Luke Cage with fists clenched, Hercules still scarred from battle, Vision watching with quiet gravity, Ms. Marvel and Daredevil with hardened expressions, Falcon and Human Torch with eyes glistening, the Red Archer with her bow lowered. No one cheers. No one speaks. The sound of footsteps echoes through burning buildings. The shield has been left behind. The symbol is silent. Only the man marches forward. Captain America. That's an order. The heroes obey. Weapons lower. The city exhales. The war ends here, but the weight of what was lost will linger forever. Silence takes hold. Among the remnants of a battle long past, Captain America's blue mask rests on the ground. Abandoned, a fallen symbol. Frank Castle, the Punisher, steps into frame. His expression is cold, unreadable. He bends down and lifts what remains of a man's ideal. In his hands, the mask becomes more than fabric. It is the weight of sacrifice itself. He stares at it, unflinching, saying nothing, the solemn gaze of a warrior who knows too well the truth of war. The view tightens, focusing on the Punisher's gloved hand gripping the mask. In that instant, a voice begins to echo, the letter, heavy with melancholy. Letter, my dearest, sweet Susan, forgive my unsteady hand. You know how hard it is for me to reduce my thoughts to the speed at which the human hand can translate them into linear phrases. The scene widens, unveiling New York. The skyline rises, bathed in golden light from the setting sun. No ruins, no smoke, only the enduring majesty of a city that refuses to fall. Standing as a silent witness to history. Letter, 2 weeks have passed since that terrible battle. I was pleased to hear you accepted the general amnesty granted to all heroes after Captain America's surrender. The city stands tall, unbroken, in the Punisher's hands. The mask of Captain America is no longer just a relic. It is a memory, a scar, and the eternal reminder of what was lost. The letter continues, a private confession echoing over images that reveal the weight of the past. Letter, I saw you during the cleanup, but I felt it was inappropriate to speak about our future. While our glands still confused judgment with adrenaline, amidst the smoking ruins, Susan Storm, the invisible woman, lifts massive blocks of concrete and twisted steel with the invisible strength of her force fields, clearing paths for firefighters to act. Around her, other heroes join in, raising crushed cars, removing debris, pulling civilians from the wreckage. Letter, you looked so beautiful, so vibrant, so clear. I cried for a full 93 minutes when I returned home that night. The scene shifts. Flashes ignite. Cameras capture the brilliance of a new spectacle. On stage, heroes gather before the crowd. Iron Man at the center, flanked by Ms. Marvel, Black Widow, Wonder Man, Sentry, and others. The audience roars. Hands rise in thunderous applause, proclaiming the dawn of a new era. Letter, by now, you will have seen the launch of the initiative. At least one super team in every US state. The revelation widens further. New uniforms, familiar faces and unknown ones standing together. Forging new champions, remaking old ones, decentralizing power, spreading it across the nation, shaping a superpower for the 21st century. Letter, you must understand the pressure we were under. Creating new heroes, remaking old ones, building a community no longer bound to a single coast, but rising as a superpower for the century to come. The symbol of victory is etched not only on banners, but in every new uniform, every smile for the cameras. Yet behind the euphoria, the letter endures. Cold, intimate, personal, reminding that all of this was born from one man's surrender. The letter continues, weaving memories and consequences like an open scar. Letter, even our controversial prison in the negative zone was met with rapturous applause when it went public. How frightening it must have seemed to the world. Vigilantes, amateurs, and supervillains locked in cells never meant to hold them. The images reveal the grim fortress of the negative zone. Prisoners march in chains through glowing portals, cast into eternal exile. Within their ranks, familiar figures, Taskmaster and Lady Deathstrike, now reduced to shadows without glory, dragged into oblivion. Letter, the only surprise is how long we were tolerated. The scene shifts. New symbols rise. Reformed heroes shake hands with politicians before the flashing lights of cameras. Armor and capes gleam under the spotlight, forging uneasy alliances. In their ranks stand U.S. Agent, rigid in his soldier's posture, and the mighty Beta Ray Bill, a cosmic guardian now bowing to the new order. Letter, of course, it would be a lie to say everyone accepted this arrangement. Some moved to Canada, chasing a more old-school career. The focus darkens, sliding into the shadows. In a hidden refuge, the underground movement endures. Luke Cage raises his hand in greeting, a grin on his face. Luke Cage, dig the outfit, man. Spider-Man in the black suit. Thanks, Letter, while a small band of Cap's followers radicalized, refusing to bow. Letter, and let us not forget Captain America himself. Silence follows. In a solitary cell, Steve Rogers sits chained, head bowed, staring into the void. His blue uniform is gone, replaced by ordinary clothes. Yet in his eyes still burns the weight of a symbol greater than any prison. The letter continues, weaving memories and consequences like an open scar. Letter, but on the whole, our experiment has been an enormous success. What once seemed like our darkest hour has been transformed into our greatest opportunity. The image reveals the brilliance of public consecration. Hank Pym on the cover of Time magazine, standing beside the Black Panther, symbols of a new scientific and political era. Letter, working with the government. Our reach has moved beyond simple law and order. Now we are tackling everything from the environment to global revolution. The focus shifts to the very heart of power. The White House, before cameras and microphones. Tony Stark shakes hands with the President of the United States. Flashes illuminate his restrained smile, and the voice of the letter echoes with weight. Letter, Tony, in particular, can you believe the new position the President has placed in his hands? Letter, opinion polls and utopian ideals mean nothing unless you are here beside me. My darling, in the dim light of a bedroom, Reed Richards sits silently, his gaze fixed on his young son sleeping peacefully in his small bed. The scientist clings to the moment as if it were his last anchor to humanity. While the letter continues, Letter, I promise, no more traps, no more clones, none of those painful choices we had to make on that path toward respectability. Letter, no matter what we achieve in this new America we are trying to build, it can never be paradise unless you are here. In the final scene, Reed's shadow reflects against the moonlit window, his eyes heavy with sorrow. searching for strength in the silence. Letter, please, please, come back to the family that needs you more than oxygen. The rain falls over New York, washing away the scars of a recent war. Inside a silent room, Reed Richards stands by the window, gazing at the city below. His face bears the weight of choices made, his eyes still marked by the words of the letter he has just finished. The door opens. Susan Storm enters. Her eyes carry both pain and hope, and also determination. The long-awaited reunion begins. Not with words, but with a presence stronger than any speech. The horizon shifts. The colossal shield helicarrier, hovering 5 miles above the city, cuts across the orange dawn sky. Inside the airborne fortress, tension hums through monitors and reports. SHIELD agents move tirelessly, voices blending with sharp commands and the relentless clatter of keyboards. The world no longer has room for pause. At the heart of command, Miriam Sharp faces Tony Stark with piercing resolve. Miriam Sharp, director of SHIELD? Tony Stark. Why not? Mrs. Sharp, a man with close ties to both the government and the superhuman community. It makes perfect sense. If Fury is still missing. Tony Stark. 2 coffees here, please. Cream and plenty of sugar. The contrast is striking. Amid decisions that shape the fate of the Earth, the ordinary slips in. The stage is set for the next great movement. A reunion that could redefine the future. The sun sets over New York, painting the skies in crimson and gold. The SHIELD helicarrier hovers like a giant sentinel above the city. The scene opens on the cold gaze of Commander Maria Hill, silent. Her stern expression carries the weight of disapproval. She watches as Tony Stark steps forward into power. The war may be over, but the shadow of its aftermath still lingers. In the steel corridors, Tony Stark walks beside Miriam Sharp, his voice steady, echoing with conviction. Tony Stark, we won the war, and now we have to make sure we win the peace. I want people to get enthused about this new way of working we're hoping to initiate. Did you hear? The state of Colorado just requested the Thunderbolts as their official team. Miriam Sharp. Yeah, well, as long as you drop 1 or 2 of the nutcases, right? Tony Stark. Nevertheless, it's still a tremendous step. Giving offenders a second chance is something we tried to do as far back as the original Avengers. Do you know why we called our prison number 42? Miriam Sharp. No, I didn't. Tony Stark. Because it was number 42 of 100 ideas, Reed. Hank. And I wrote down the night your son was killed. 100 ideas for a safer world. And we're not even at number 50 yet. Doesn't that sound exciting to you? The golden light of dusk frames Stark's face as he speaks, his confidence unshaken. Tony Stark. Cleaning up SHIELD is number 43. Believe me, Mrs. Sharp, the superhero community just found the greatest friend they'll ever have. Tony Stark. Do you really think I'd let anyone else guard my friend's secret identities? The sunset paints the sky in gold and crimson, its light reflecting on the glass dome suspended from the helicarrier. The war is over, yet the world still pulses with the promise of a new beginning. Miriam Sharp gazes at Tony Stark with a serene, emotional smile. Her voice breaks the silence, carrying the weight of every sacrifice made. Miriam Sharp. You're a good man. Tony Stark. You risked everything to bring us to this point. I truly believe you have given people heroes they can believe in again. The camera closes in on Tony's eyes. They gleam with determination. His reply is firm, solemn, carrying the weight of destiny. Tony Stark. Oh, the best is yet to come. Sweetheart. The scene widens to the horizon. The sun sinks beneath the clouds, casting Stark and Miriam silhouettes in golden light. 2 figures standing at the dawn of a new era. In the silence, one final vow resounds. Tony Stark. That's a promise. The end. Civil war has ended, but the echoes of battle will never be silenced. Captain America has fallen. Tony Stark has won. And the world of heroes has changed forever. But this is not the end. It is only the prologue to something far greater. prepare yourself, for the next journey will take us beyond the limits of imagination, where the impossible becomes absolute. The next chapter rises on the horizon. Superman Absolute. Leave your explosive like, subscribe to the channel, comment your vision of this saga, and share with your fellow nerds. The battle may be over, but legends never die. See you next time, nerds!